Now, midday.
Welcome back, everyone. My guest today is Dennis Tubbergen. He is a financial advisor, syndicated radio show host, and now an author. And here you are ready to talk about something that's the R word that a lot of us are afraid of in this country. In fact, 78% of Americans aren't confident that they can retire. Is that correct?
That's correct. According to the Employee Benefits Research Institute, 78% of Americans are not sure they'll ever be able to retire, and those that are retired today are concerned about how to keep the money they have.
Well, we're in a difficult situation, as you know, because of the crisis. A lot of people were wiped out of any financial savings that they had. So you say there are new rules for retirement, and every worker, you say, needs to know these, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if you think back to when people were wiped out, one of the reasons they were wiped out was they didn't understand or use the two-bucket rule, which is one of my new rules for retirement. Wall Street wants you to invest using one bucket, and they'll tell you, put all your money in this bucket, and no matter what happens in the economy, no matter what happens in the financial markets, keep your money in that bucket. Now, in that bucket are stocks and bonds, which can be good investments. However, during the financial crisis that we saw back about 10 years ago, and you can study history, President Ulysses S. Grant on the $50 bill actually fell victim to not understanding the two-bucket rule. He lost everything in the financial crisis of the 1870s.
So when you say two-bucket rule, are there some suggestions you would make for people making investments?
Yeah, let me go back to that 1870s example, because at the same time President Grant lost everything, we had guys like J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, Carnegie that made a lot of money. They didn't have all their assets in stocks and bonds. They had cash and tangible items as well, and that's one of the core messages of my book.
I know some people now are buying silver and gold bars, or gold coins, silver coins. People are investing in that.
Yeah, in fact, the second rule in my book is the rule of evolving money. And many times throughout history, our money has been backed by gold, but then occasionally politicians remove that backing, and they do that because when you look at the options they have to solve a financial problem, they can either raise taxes, cut spending, or print money, and often they choose the latter. And whenever they print more, it's worth less, so that tends to make the value of gold and silver go up.
Okay, so we have the two-bucket rule, the evolving money rule. Your last rule is the rule of economic cycles. Explain more.
Well, your viewers are probably thinking back to what their history professor told them, that those that don't study history are doomed to repeat it. And that's exactly what happens. When you look at historically what's happened when money has been printed, certain predictable economic cycles emerge. And it seems like we have economic prosperity for a while. But then, as a result of all this money floating around and too much debt building up in the system, we enter what I call an economic winter, and I believe we're entering one of those economic winters again today.
You have a lot of thoughts about the economy, and they are very interesting, very valuable tools. As I mentioned earlier, you're a radio show host. You have a syndicated radio program. You've interviewed a lot of interesting people. Where can people contact you to listen to your radio program and buy the book?
I'll give them two ideas. They can go to everythingfinancialradio.com. All the radio programs are archived there. And for any of your viewers that would like, they can get a copy of the book, New Retirement Rules, just by paying a small shipping and handling charge by going to newretirementrulesbook.com. We also have the Kindle version available for a limited time for under $1. So it's an easy way to get good information.
You said you just, a couple of weeks ago, you have a lot of people, like politicians even, you interviewed weeks ago.
Former presidential candidate Ron Paul, Robert Kiyosaki, a number of very bright folks.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that him?
That's him.
That's him. Dennis, it was a pleasure meeting you. Dennis Tubbergen.
Tubbergen.
I want to pronounce it two different ways. Don't ask me why. Anyway, everythingfinancialradio.com, correct?
Correct.
Great. And stay with us. We'll be right back.